You're listening to a Rev FM production podcast. Welcome to Pastors Live, the show that discusses things of the Bible and current events for people who love to laugh. And now, the hosts who answer questions with more questions. It's Pastors Dave, Ty, Shane, and the other guy.
Hey everybody, it's Friday. It's May 16th
thank you, Jesus,
2025. Yeah, I know, right? So we have a very, very busy weekend this weekend. We have a huge part of our crew and our team working on a short film about prayer and the effectiveness of prayer. We have on Sunday after church, we have three very special things going on. We have the packing party for the military outreach.
Woo-hoo!
We have the Israel meeting.
Yes, Israel interest meeting.
The Israel interest
meeting. For those
meeting.
who are interested in traveling to Israel with Pastor Ty and I.
And then we are
and Jordan.
And Jordan. Yep.
Petra.
Yep. I talked to two couples I think are going to come. I told them to register. And then we're also filming the externals of our short film right after second service as well. So we're going to have a whole bunch of stuff happening after church this week. It's going to be amazing. And so be praying for us. But we want to encourage you. If you want to go to Israel, this is the first of some interest meetings. And Dave, let's talk about this idea of going to Israel. We were planning a trip almost 2 years ago, and a little thing happened. There was an invasion, and the war started there. And we're going back. And I've had some people, they're really excited, but then there's the next part of that conversation, right? We really want to go to Israel. We really want to be there. Then is it safe? That's the next question that usually comes up. So, I mean, for those people who are not in our area or who might want to go with us, and by the way, if you're listening to this program, you can go with us. You just have to reach out and talk to us because we can, flights can get figured out and we all meet together in Israel.
Yeah, there's all kinds of ways of making that happen. But the interest meeting even, at our registration, when you go to watersprings.net and you click on the thumbnail for registration and then click on events, the Israel interest meeting will be one of those events that pops up. You click on that, and there is a space where you can say, I need the Zoom meeting link. And we will invite you to join us this Sunday via Zoom. And you can do that on your computer. So.
Oh, yeah. And we want people to know about the trip, but we also want to let people know that, we're not going into someplace that's unsafe. We would never do that on purpose. Yeah. And so Dave, obviously when we've been there, the last few times, we don't go through Jericho, right?
Nope.
And I don't think
Jericho's off it's off the menu.
And we're talking about Bethlehem, whether we go in there or not.
Right.
For this trip, but this time we're actually doing something a little bit different.
Yeah.
We're actually going into the country of Jordan.
Yeah.
And we're going to go to the rock city of Petra, which you and I've never been to.
Never been, man. This is my first trip to Petra,
and I'm really looking forward to that trip. And
can't wait.
but let's talk about the safety. I mean. The Israeli tourism, they're not gonna do something that's gonna jeopardize people that are there,
right?
Because that's part of their economy. They're going to be pretty safe with that. And I understand that bad guys don't care about their economy, but they do. And so like when you think about safety, how would you encourage people? And say, look, it is safe to go. I mean, it's still the Middle East, and we have to have eyes and ears. Yeah. But sometimes we have to change our plans on the ground if we have to. That's fine.
Ty, you and I have both been youth pastors. We've taken teenagers into cross-cultural experiences. We've gone. Yeah. I've taken trips into Mexico over 100 times in my 40 years of ministry. When I was a youth pastor, we used to go every 6 weeks. When I was a youth pastor in Los Angeles for all those years, every sixth weekend we went into Mexico. We were in Tijuana, we were in La Gloria, different colonias in the border towns, and people would always ask, is it safe? Well, I mean, heck, I don't know. Is it safe? If you watch reels on Facebook or any other social media platform, and you see the fights that break out in Walmart and Target and, fast food joints, and you think, I don't know, is it safe to go to Walmart? Is it safe to go to Target? Is it safe to go to Taco Bell? I mean, what's safe? If you want 100% guarantee that nothing bad's going to happen, then I would strongly recommend that you stay in your living room, wrap yourself in bubble wrap, and hire a security team to protect your property, and you might be 90% safe. I don't know.
Well, I think part of it is. Oh, go ahead.
We're not going to go to Israel. Well, our last trip, we stood on the brakes after October 7th. Now, could we have said, well, we're only going to go up into the Galilee, we'll come down to Jerusalem for a couple of days and then fly home, and we'll stay away from the Gaza envelope? Yeah, we could have done that, but we chose not to. We said, you know what, it's just not safe. And sure enough, within a matter of weeks, it wasn't just Hamas down south, it was Hezbollah up north. And so, by the grace of God, he gave us wisdom to not push and make it happen. Right now, Israel is about as safe as it can be. But like you said, Ty, it's the Middle East. Are there pickpockets? Yeah, there's pickpockets. Are there people that want to hurt you or at least take your money from you? Yeah,
everywhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's going to happen in Ireland. That's going to happen in Europe.
But that's the point. It happens on the Red Square. It happens everywhere.
Everywhere, man.
And one of the things about being an American,
I'd go to Israel before I'd go to Detroit. I'll tell you that.
Right. Yeah, right now. Oh no, I
hands down.
Yeah, 100%. And we love people who live in Detroit. We love Detroit.
Hope you're listening.
Listening. But we're like, no, I don't know.
And if you want to be safe for 10 days, you should go to Israel with us.
Yeah, that's right. No, I do. I think sometimes what happens is our level of safety or level of, it's about comfort. Like I'm familiar with where I live. And so it's the unfamiliarity with where you are, I think sometimes that heightens that concern about security and safety.
Sure.
And so just so you understand, when we go and we pay attention, hey, a lot of times we're like, hey man, we're going to go up on the Temple Mount. And sometimes they're like, yeah, today, not a good day. It's not not safe right now.
And our tour guides that we work with are constantly watching the news. They're paying attention to what's happening in their own country. We've both been on tours there where your tour guide will say, hey, today on the docket, we're supposed to go to this place and that place. Instead, we're going to do tomorrow's itinerary today and today's itinerary tomorrow when things calm down. We've had everything from, hey, we didn't realize there's a 5K run today, and so instead of going south, we have to go north because of the 5K. They've got the highway shut down. To, hey, there's a little bit of a ruckus over in that one, village or whatever it might be, and so we're just going to avoid that area today. I mean, we are constantly paying attention. Here's the thing, Ty. People will sometimes say to me, well, Dave, I've done a little homework. And I think, my wife and I, we could just hop on a plane and book our own hotels. And we think we can do it for about $1,000 less than what you guys, you guys are $5,000 a person, blah, blah, blah. And we have to explain, you know what? You're absolutely right.
100%.
Ours is about $5,000 per person, all inclusive, including airfare, ground fare, hotels, meals. You have breakfast and dinner every single night. Also, we're paying a professional tour guide. We pay them good money. They spend 10 days with us. They are paying attention to what's happening. Our bus driver, we have a professional coach. I mean, a great coach bus, giant, tour bus. And this also includes entrances into the national parks where we go. You can do it for less on your own. You're probably going to end up paying more in terms of meals. Did you want to go into those parks that we go into? Did you want to do the hikes that we do up in Tel Dan? Mm-hmm. So we really have trimmed the fat on this thing so much. And because we have these professionals that take us, that's part of what keeps it safe.
And one of the things that Dave didn't mention is the gratuity part of it.
Yeah.
Because you and I
have gratuities to our drivers and our tour guides.
Yes, and we've had some experiences with that. Mm-hmm. I would never ever want to be in a position where I didn't know the culture really, really well and was responsible for you know, what's the appropriate tip here? What's the appropriate tip there? And because I just don't know.
Yeah.
And they know. And so they know all those things. And so we want to encourage you guys to come out. If you want to help with the packing for the military, that's also this weekend.
I know.
And,
Love that.
And for those of you who are here, just so you know, there'll be some filming going on, some stuff going on in the parking lot. It's going to be a great weekend, going to be in the Word together. But today is also a National Ride Your Bike to Work Day, which is, I know, something that you do, Dave, when the weather is good.
When the weather is good.
And since it's still snowing in Idaho, so
it's hit and miss.
Yeah.
I mean, I get up in the morning and I begin my day. One of the things I do in the morning is check the weather to see, is it a bike riding day? Is it not a bike riding day?
And this week, not so much.
Not so much.
By the way, Dave, you and Sylvia got electric bikes.
We do. We have the typical bikes, and we also have e-bikes.
So when you guys are riding on a regular basis, are you guys riding the e-bikes for the most part? Are you guys riding the regular bikes? How do you guys?
It literally what determines is the length of ride we want to do. If we're doing 5, 6, 7 miles, we'll use our regular bike.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
If we're doing anywhere from 10 to 30 miles, we use our e-bike.
Okay.
And with the e-bike, you get the pedal assist. And at my age and condition, it's nice to have the pedal assist. Now, we don't crank it all the way up, and just throttle and don't pedal. That's not helping you at all. But we like the pedal assist. We usually keep it in 1, maybe 2 if there's an incline, just to have the pedal assist. But again, that's if we're doing a 30-mile ride, like we do the Hiawatha Trail up near Coeur d'Alene. And I like using the e-bike, or if we did the Ashton to Teutonia, which is a very 30-mile ride each way.
Yeah, you guys did that last year, didn't you?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And it's a 30-mile ride each way. So the e-bike is, it really is nice to have that pedal assist.
Right, especially when a really, really long ride.
Yeah.
For me, I remember doing long rides on a flat surface. I can go 30, 40 miles when it's flat.
Sure.
But if you're 15 miles in and it starts to go up,
you get the incline
you start
and all that,
you start going, I might be in trouble. And then you realize once I turn around and start going back, that's gonna hurt. But when I was a kid,
I tell myself that all the time. Just remember, every mile you ride this way, you have to ride that way.
And Dave, when I was a kid, I mean, I know you probably rode your bike everywhere when you were a kid, right?
Oh, heck yeah.
I mean, that was your car.
Yeah.
Right.
We would take the San Gabriel River from Bellflower all the way down to the beach, man.
Are you talking about the river, or are you talking about the big concrete thing?
Yeah, that is a river in L.A.
Oh, I thought that was
L.A. doesn't have rivers. We have to build them. So we make concrete riverbeds.
So you guys would actually get down and ride in that?
Oh yeah.
I thought those were.
Well, they have bike trails.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, up on top.
Oh, okay, up on top.
Walking trails, bike trails, same thing.
Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking, I thought you couldn't get into those. So unless you're like.
No, you can. Yeah.
Oh, okay, you can get down into those?
Yep.
All right.
Now, usually at the overpasses, there'll be a pedestrian /bicycle /skateboard gateway that you can get in, but you have to kind of do the little zigzag.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So have you ever seen those? Because I've never actually seen them all full running with water.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever seen that?
Oh, yeah.
When do you usually see that? Because if you guys...
When you get the runoff from the San Gabriel Mountains,
okay,
it would fill up to the top.
Okay, now that dumps right into the ocean?
Right into the ocean, yeah. And I mean, it moves, man. Every year, if you... So like on my feed, on my social media feed, I'll get stuff from KTLA Channel 5 or ABC News in Los Angeles. And a couple of times a year, you'll see where somebody or some dog or something like that gets into that swift running water in the San Gabriel River, and they've got to fish them out, or hopefully it doesn't end badly.
Right. Okay. I think for me, every time I'm there, it's always usually dry.
Yeah,
so it's I'm like, I've never actually seen that really rushing. I've never seen that before.
Yeah. December and January, sometimes, man, those things are moving fast.
Oh, okay. So the time of year when everything here is frozen.
Right. And it's raining there.
Oh, okay. That's why I never think about that. Okay. Well, hey, listen.
It can get pretty crazy.
Well, listen, guys, yesterday we were talking about marriage. We're talking about forgiveness. We're talking about those things. And today in our reading, we're in John chapter 13, which is, I think, another principle for a marriage that we might want to talk about, which is the idea of serving one another.
Yeah.
and actually coming to that place where you're going to serve one another and love one another. And so Dave, when you're talking to couples, obviously we need to forgive, but I think this idea of serving one another and being tender towards one another, how would you equate, Jesus going in, washing the disciples' feet, and doing that, in that idea, this is how you are to serve one another, with humility and with grace. Yeah. How do you equate that to, hey, let's talk about marriage, and how do we serve one another in marriage in a way that's God honoring, and I want to point out, yes, we can in our marriage help one another grow. So we can kind of we can point out when there's errors and flaws. Like we want to help each other grow. But it's like I'm serving my spouse by pointing out all the things they do wrong. That's not necessarily
I'm trying to help you grow by telling you you packed on a few pounds.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dave,
that doesn't help.
That doesn't help. And those kind of comments require forgiveness and repentance. But Dave, how do you go about that when you're saying, hey, serve one another? Because it's John 13 is where we're at in our reading, where Jesus washes the disciples' feet.
And how practical was that?
Very practical.
Right? I mean, you're looking at a culture in the ancient Near East, and they're walking around in sandals on dirt roads where camels poo and dogs run around and all that stuff, donkeys and everything. And, it gets stinky, right?
Yeah.
Feet get stinky real quick.
Yeah, and dirty, really dirty from the roads.
Yeah. All that stuff. And so the idea of washing one another's feet is just so practical because, when somebody comes into your home, it's not only practical for them because they don't want to be uncomfortable if they sit down and their feet are gnarly and smelly and all that. So, you met them at the door and you were kind to them, but it was also kind to your home, because if you've got a rug or whatever it is that you have there, in your living space, you don't want that stuff being trampled into your home. So it was a real practical, I think, thing
and cultural thing
and cultural. Yeah, it was just you did
kindness.
So, I do think sometimes, Ty, that we can be kinder to other people than we are to our own spouse because we can sort of begin to take each other for granted.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we had, for instance, during the men's conference, our good friend Carl Palinkas from Florence, Oregon, and the ministry there in Israel, we flew him in. Sylvie and I flew him in, and he stayed in our home. Now, we bent over backwards to make sure he was comfortable, and Carl has said many, many times, you guys have the most comfortable home. When I come into your home, I am never more comfortable anywhere else than I am in your home. Man, that really makes us feel good. But you know what? If I treat Carl with more kindness than I treat my wife, then there's something wrong. That's out of balance.
Yeah.
If I would be careful, not to wake him up if he's still in his room, in our guest room, well, then why would I make all kinds of noise in my bedroom, getting up out of bed and going out to make myself a cup of coffee? If I wouldn't stir my guest, why would I stir my wife? Why would I, why not be as considerate, more considerate for my spouse than I would be for a guest? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So it's just what is practical in the sense of serving one another. If I know that my wife, for instance, my wife wakes up every morning at 5:30, and I'm typically out a few minutes before that. I make myself a cup of coffee. I get my stuff started. I turn on some music that I listen to when I'm doing my devotional reading. But right at 5:30, I go into the kitchen and I make a cup of coffee for my wife so that when she comes out of the bedroom to go in and take her shower and get started for the day, I have that cup of coffee waiting for her. Man, I'll tell you what, she loves that. She loves that.
Right.
Now, she doesn't take it for granted, but she knows that I'm going to do it, and she appreciates, well, why wouldn't I do that? Why wouldn't I serve her? That's a practical thing.
Right. And you figure those things out, like how can you serve one another?
Yeah.
And I'm going to own up, but I love Chapman's stuff, like on the 5 love languages. I think it really does speak to some things, right?
Love that.
And so look, maybe acts of service is not your love language, that you receive or you give, but the idea of saying, look, I'm going to do what's kind for this other person.
Yeah.
Find out what they want and find out what's helpful and beneficial, because I think serving one another in a marriage is really, really important. Yeah. And how you serve your spouse is dependent upon your spouse and your communication and their needs. I think that there are a lot of couples, and please understand, I am currently painting with a really big roller. Okay, I'm not, but I think there are a lot of couples where they are trying to serve their spouse in the way they want to be served, and they haven't taken the time to actually ask, what do you desire in our relationship? What can I do to serve you? How can I do this? And you know what? Sometimes it's something so simple that you're missing, or the one thing that they desire is the one thing you're refusing to do. And the one thing you're refusing to do is the thing which is just making them crazy. And you're wondering why you're married to like Oscar the Grouch. Like they come home or she comes home and they're angry, they're frustrated, when it's a simple change in the house, a simple change to say, this is something that they desire, and I want to meet them in that. And I'm not saying you do things that are illegal or that are sin. I'm not saying, if your spouse is like, hey man, you really need to help me cook the meth in the garage. No, that's not what we're talking about. Not illegal, not unrighteous, not unholy, but what's a thing that's really going to bless them in that? Right. Really do that. So.
What's funny? My wife does not care to get flowers. And to get my wife a dozen roses on Mother's Day would be an absolute waste of money and time. I mean, she would say, oh, honey, those are pretty. Thank you. That's nice. Well, let's just put them on the table till they die. I mean, she's like, well, it's a waste, honey. I appreciate your thoughtfulness, but flowers just aren't my thing. You know what my wife loves?
What?
When I take her car and I go down and I wash it and I fill it with gas for her, she loves that.
Better than roses.
She doesn't have to stop by Costco or Fred Meyer and fill up the tank. I did it for her, and she, oh, honey, thanks for filling the tank for me. Or if I bring it home and I've washed it and really spent time getting it super clean, absolutely tickles her to death. She loves it. Way better than a bouquet of flowers.
Right. So
find out what your spouse, where they're at.
And you know what that requires? You have to communicate.
What?
There you go. Hey, listen, maybe we'll talk about that next week. Hey, listen, you're loved, your family. God bless you. Get to church this weekend. A lot of great stuff happening. Be praying for all the outreaches that are happening. And you know what? Go home and love and forgive your spouse and just do the things that give delight to one another, and just do those things. God bless you guys. We'll talk to you next week.
You've reached the end of another episode of Pastors Live, a Rev FM production podcast. Thank you for listening. Submit your questions and comments by email to pastorslive@therev.fm. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others. Post about it on social media or leave a rating and review from your favorite podcast listening platform. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon so you don't miss the next episode drop.